Will charges be coming for Alec Baldwin? Well, after that new report says the trigger would have had to have been pulled. When you hear a woman escapes from a dog cage, you know something is just not right. And then finally, our dumb criminal of the day. Let's talk about it. Good day, everyone. My name is Scott Reich, and this is Crime Talk. Thanks for joining us. You know the drill. Subscribe if you haven't, like if you do, leave us a comment, hit that little bell for notifications, and remember, you can listen to us on any of your favorite podcasting apps. Just type in Crime Talk. Yes, you may notice that I am in a casual attire today. Let's just say we are in heavy trial preparation mode. So let's get to the docket and open the record for August 16th, 2023. Well, Alec Baldwin may still be charged in the Rust shooting that claimed the life of cinematographer Helena Hutchins. Well, there's new information. This is just a new forensic report concluded that the trigger was sufficiently pulled. Where have we already concluded that? Yes, I remember doing a live show where we talked about it, and I brought in an antique firearm very similar to the one at issue in Mr. Baldwin's case, and I demonstrated that it would be completely impossible for that gun to go off without somebody pulling the trigger. Anyway, criminal charges against Mr. Baldwin were obviously dropped, and the movie actually finished filming earlier this year. Now, Baldwin, who repeatedly denied pulling the trigger, may be called back into court over the killing. The firearms report that's been released in the co-defendant's case states, quote, the trigger had to be pulled or depressed sufficiently to release the fully cocked or retracted hammer of the evidence revolver. There it is, ladies and gentlemen. It did not just go off by itself. This fatal incident was the consequence of the hammer being manually retracted to its fully rearward and cocked position, followed at some point by the pull or the rearward depression of the trigger, according to the firearms expert, a guy by the name of Lucian Haig. And Mr. Haig, who the state attorney hired in the case against Hannah Gutierrez-Reed. She was the armorer and the co-defendant of Mr. Baldwin at one point. Now, for those who don't recall, back in October of 2021, Alec Baldwin was holding the prop Colt .45 revolver that, according to him, and unbeknownst to him, contained live ammunition when it just went off and the bullet struck Hutchins and the film's director, Joel Souza. Now, after the shooting, the Santa Fe District Attorney's Office charged Baldwin, who also served as the film's producer, with 2 counts of involuntary manslaughter. Then in April, the charges were dismissed without prejudice because the statute of limitations had not run. And though the prosecutors noted that Baldwin could still face charges pending an investigation into the operation of the gun. So after Baldwin's attorney announced the decision, the special prosecutors said the decision does not absolve Mr. Baldwin of criminal culpability and that charges may still be refiled. Now, the gun and a broken sear have been sent to the state's independent expert for further testing, is what the prosecutor said at the time, and the charges against Mr. Baldwin were dismissed because of the possible malfunction of the gun that significantly could affect the causation with regards to Baldwin, not with regard to Gutierrez, wrote the prosecutors at that time. So, if it is determined that the gun did not malfunction, charges against Mr. Baldwin will proceed, the prosecutor noted. And the prosecution's new report in the case against Gutierrez-Reed stated the gun found to function properly in accordance with the operational design of the original Colt 1873 single-action revolver. Although the full cock step on the hammer had been severely damaged, the top of the trigger's sear was broken off and the bolt was also broken because of on-the-set incident. There were no indications of modifications to the gun. And the August 22 forensic report from the FBI concluded essentially the same thing, that Baldwin would have had to have pulled the trigger. So I guess we'll see if the prosecutor's coming for Mr. Baldwin. That gun just didn't go off. There are some guns that have a history, a repeated propensity of going off. I'm not going to mention names because, we don't want to get in trouble or sued, but there's been a lot of litigation around a particular firearm. But this old Colt antique isn't one of them. Next on the docket, that's right, when you know the woman escaped from the dog cage, something is not right. So a woman had to escape from a dog cage and run to a nearby neighbor's home and beg for help to end a terrifying ordeal that she was going through. Now, 4 people face charges as it relates to that abduction. Now, the victim is apparently a female in her 40s, and she allegedly broke free and ran for her life before knocking on several doors and pleading with neighbors for help. She told the residents that she had just escaped from being held in a dog cage against her will. Now, the Orange County Sheriff's Office in Florida arrived at the property about 2 p.m. in the afternoon on Saturday and found the woman with minor injuries. Now, Monica Latrices Reed, Cortez Jackson, Kevin Holmes, and Damon Tromp were all arrested and charged with armed kidnapping with intent to commit felony and false imprisonment with a weapon. This was done for the defendant, apparently, to obtain information from the victim, namely the victim's address, in regards to potential stolen items. So an arrest report claimed that the 4 suspects duct taped the victim's hands and feet, as well as taped her mouth shut. Now, Jackson's, Holmes, and Tromp are said to have helped physically restrain the victim inside of a car when she tried to escape before she made it to the, dog cage. She was later kept inside the dog cage in Reed's backyard before she did, in fact, escape. Now, police have not provided details on how she managed to escape, but said she knocked on several doors in the area to seek help. A resident in the neighborhood opened the door and called the police when they heard that she was being held against her will in this cage. You can't make this stuff up, ladies and gentlemen. So it looks like somebody was trying to recover some stolen property. So the way to do that is to kidnap the person that may know, hold them against their will, and hope they provide the information and that the person never tells anybody. What could possibly go wrong with that plan? Well, just about everything. Now, all of these 4 individuals, assuming they're convicted, they will spend a good deal of time in prison. It's just stuff, ladies and gentlemen. I get it. It's stuff, but you can't go around kidnapping people to do it. And finally, our dumb criminal today for a quick show. A Palm Coast resident by the name of Brent Christopher Heath was charged with possession of possession of paraphernalia, and also possession of hashish. He was also charged with failure to obey law enforcement. So deputies from the Flagler County Sheriff's Office stopped Mr. Heath's car. Police found a prescription bottle with a golden brown oil substance that likely tested for THC and fentanyl. Now, Mr. Heath told the officers that he was having a heart attack to basically get out of the traffic stop. But what would the officers do? Yeah, they called the ambulance so that he could be checked out and verify that he was having a medical emergency. Well, he was checked at the scene. Paramedics couldn't find anything wrong with him, but they sent him to the hospital to make sure that he was adequately evaluated. And apparently his demeanor was that he was literally dying. But they determined he was just fine. And after being medically cleared, guess what? He was taken to the detention facility and charged with all of those illegal narcotics. Mr. Heath, nice try, good try, but faking illness to get out of an arrest, not going to happen. You, sir, are a dumb criminal of the day. All right, it was a quick show for you today, ladies and gentlemen. Thanks for watching. We'll see you next time.